Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the meaty part of the curve. 30 minutes of fundamentals, tech, teaching, and talk. I'm your host today, Kendra Brown. We're here weekly, although this is the last week of our fall session. Hosting webisodes featuring special guests, surprises, straight talk about today's instructional challenges. The views and opinions expressed here on the meaty part of the curve are the thoughts and opinions only of our hosts and guests that have joined us and do not necessarily reflect those opinions of Central Michigan University. Welcome, everyone. I'm here. I made it. I'm all by myself. So, Jeremy Bond in his infinite wisdom, had to pay me back. I missed a couple of sessions this season on meaty part of the curve, and so he thought, hey, why not? I'll bail on her today and get sick. So in all seriousness, I do hope Jeremy's okay, and he will be back at some point. But I'm by myself, so I'm talking to myself today. So I appreciate any chat, any information anyone wants to share today. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be back. And thankfully, this episode today is really wrapping up our fall season, our first season, 10 weeks in that we've done this show. Obviously, we've had a lot of fun doing it. We've had a lot of fun with our participants being with us. And so first off, thank you to everybody that has joined us either every week or just periodically as your schedules have allowed. We appreciate you and are very excited to announce and share that we're going to be doing this again next semester for season 2. You know how all those seasons change anymore. I remember growing up, a season was usually, fall and spring, and now you've got, 5 episodes making a season for some shows now. So we're going to jump on that train and do a second season starting in January. So, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, but I just wanted to take some time today and kind of reflect back on what we've done so far over the last 10 weeks, sharing time with all of you. Some of these slides that I'm sharing with you today, you're probably going to recognize things that we discussed. A lot of what we talked about this season was where we're going as an organization, where we're going as a university, and recognizing how things have changed and where it's going in the future. So in our first week, we talked about the changing demographics of our students, therefore the changing expectations of who our students are, what they want out of their education. And we were able to provide you with some background information thanks to Stephanie Bechtel, who's on with us today. Hi, Stephanie. As well as others in our organization that provided us this great data. But where it's really gone from here, and as we've talked about all of these differences that we're all experiencing, we really wanted to get to how can it impact you all as instructors to better serve our students, to better educate our students. So we spent some time talking about the forms of communications. We spent a week talking about how communication has changed since maybe a lot of us have gone to school. I know for me, back in the day, you sat in class, it was lecture. You took tests, you might have gone to the testing center. Ooh, what a concept. And how all of that has changed and how much technology has impacted what we do and have done. We spent some time talking about student engagement. We were very fortunate to have Amy Lilienfeld join us, an instructor that teaches geography for us through Global Campus, teaches it online, and really trying to get that meaningful engagement with her students in her online course. And she provided, some experience she was having and looking for assistance and how to do it better. We were able to work with her. She was able to provide us some feedback, some things that that she's utilized in her classroom to make it better, or hopefully make it better for her students, and we are seeing those results for her, so that's good news. We spent 1 week talking about testing. Why do we test our students? What are we really looking for? With a little background in some of the tools and abilities that are available through the system we use, Blackboard, some services that are provided by the LMS group, Jeremy's group. And so we had a really good discussion about, why do we do what we do? How do we do it? How can we do it better? How can we make it more efficient for our students? Then a couple of weeks ago, before I decided to take a week off and go spend it with some lovely teenagers on a road trip. So we talked about the semester was coming to an end, and some of those tips and tricks we hope we shared with you to prepare you as the semester was quickly coming to a close. Hopefully you've been able to implement some of those ideas, or I know many of you that are on with us today, I know Todd Wilmer is on with us today and was with us that day, provided us some feedback on what he does to get prepared for the semester, things to keep in mind. I know Jeremy shared some ideas, some things that he does even at the beginning of the semester in anticipation of the end of the semester, how to keep those students engaged throughout. I wasn't here last week, but we had a very special guest join Jeremy. Stephanie Bechtel was able to join him and talk a little bit about our instructors, what we're looking for in that excellence out of our instructors, what makes them so good, what we're always looking for and striving for in our instructors. So unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to listen to that recording yet. I will be doing that, but from all the feedback that I've received, it was an excellent session. As I anticipated, I totally promised Jeremy I would not leave him hanging, and clearly I did not. Todd, we will have that recording out there very soon in the repository. So we had some special guests. Like I mentioned, we had Amy Lilienfeld join Stephanie. Stephanie also joined us. We had a couple of folks, a couple of our colleagues from our main campus. We were able to introduce you to, I just went totally blank on his name. I'm so sorry. Troy. Oh my goodness. I can see him. It's just one of those days. Troy Hicks, there we go. Sorry about that, Troy, if you're listening. Troy Hicks is the new teaching and learning consultant through the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning here on campus. Thanks, Tammy. It just wasn't coming quick enough for me. Troy was able to join us early on in the season. We were able to introduce him to everybody. I hope everybody's had a chance to meet him. And get to know him a little bit. We're happy to announce that his counterpart, Justin Brunner, has been hired and started just this past, what month are we in? I think it was the end of October he started. And we hope to have him in season 2 come on, and so everyone gets a chance to meet him. And then we also had Derek Leib join us from the help desk. Derek and Jeremy, I left them alone for a day. They did a fantastic job, although there was a lot of conversations about Legos, so, take that for what it's worth. But great guys. Had a nice conversation about what our help desk is able to do for folks, what they're there for, all the information they can share, and be of assistance to anybody that contacts them. I can never say enough about our help desk and how wonderful they are. So we are very fortunate. But again, what this season has been all about is the learning. And anything we can do to support our instructors in their courses as they're teaching those students, and hopefully those students are grasping on and learning from your expertise. We know they are. We know they get it eventually. We know they're out there. But that's what this has been all about for, and hopefully everybody that has joined us has been able to grasp something, even one little nugget along those 10 weeks. So with all of that said, and I just want to spend a few moments kind of where we're going into Season 2. And yes, we are very excited about Season 2. You know, we've started our planning, as we always do. We got some good ideas, but probably the biggest thing that we're going to spend a lot of time talking about is where the university is going in regards to hybrid and blended learning. We've been offering hybrid blended courses for quite some time. We've had a major focus on it. We are going to continue to focus on it further. So, you know, kind of helping everyone define what does it mean for CMU? What is a hybrid blended courses? Identifying some of the myths that surround blended courses, what we're doing here at CMU to combat those myths, provide correct information, get information out to instructors, provide support and training. I know a lot of you have spent some time in our Blackboard repository of faculty resources. And I know many of you, I know all of you have probably received my biweekly emails, our faculty news and notes. And as we continue to build that repository, we're adding in more and more information about blended and hybrid courses. We hope this information is helpful to everyone as you are looking and preparing for courses that you might be teaching. The other areas we're going to be looking at, as I said, we want to, hopefully we're going to get Justin Brunner in here. I'm sure we will have other special guests. But talking some more about the engagement in the online environment, especially as, you know, more and more courses are going to hybrid, how do you continue to engage your students outside of that physical classroom? Again, we talked a little bit about it this season in our one session. We'll continue that conversation this next season. Kind of help you all, give hopefully a little bit of background of how we do what we do, why we do what we do, where do we come from those decision points, you know, on when do we decide to run a course, kind of some background of, you know, maybe this one course is offered at this location all the time, but it's not someplace else, and just kind of, you know, hopefully bring some more transparency as to how things happen behind the scenes. So we're in those beginning stages, but we're getting there. Maybe now that, you know, once we all get back from the holidays, we'll, you know, have some time to focus on that. But today I just want to open it up for a few minutes to your questions. What are some of the things that you've taken away from this season? What are some things that you'd like to see in next season that we can share with you? Please feel free to put the information in the chat box. If you have a microphone and wish to speak, that would be fantastic. Raise your hand. I'd be glad to call on you. Yes, Stephanie, there are days it is a drama, comedy, and a scary movie all together. So hopefully we can take the scary part out of it, have a little fun with it, make it a comedy, more of a comedy and less of a drama. So I appreciate that. That too, days of our lives. Todd, I know I'm going to pick on you a little bit. As you just raised your hand, I'm going to pick on you a little bit. I know you've joined us for several sessions.
Well,
what would you like to share?
And talking about what you're going to do next year, one thing with you're talking about blended and hybrid, and I'm finding this to be a challenge, is when you do hybrid or blended courses, if you skip the first weekend or skip the first part, getting students to actively engage in the website, engage with each other, engage online. How do you design things that are not just boring discussion threads, you know, where you're just making up work for them? So I think that's going to be a real challenge for going forward. So that's something you might, if you can talk about that next year, I think that might be something worthwhile, because that's an aspect of the hybrids I believe is going to be an issue.
Excellent topic, Todd. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Todd's been in a lot of our conversations as he's a faculty partner with us, and so he's a little bit behind the scenes information there. What we are doing, one of the things that you'll be seeing here very shortly, well, it's already been announced, I should say, in a message a few weeks ago, but will be reiterated in faculty news and notes coming up, is that we're opening up our hybrids blended courses. In the past, it's been more prescribed, shall we say, as to what weekends or what time frames classes will be meeting. So in trying to make a better experience both for our students and our instructors, working with our instructors to help identify which class sessions will be the most important for them to be in the classroom. So instead of always saying that you won't meet the second weekend, as Todd's alluding to, maybe that first weekend you don't necessarily need to be face-to-face with your students, because the other 2 weekends, the course content being covered is more, I don't want to say more important, it's all important, but is better served being face-to-face. So how do you bring those students in and engage them? And the truth, it's also in any online course too, and I know, Todd, you'll agree with me on that. So thank you for that. Yes, that's definitely something we can talk about, and how do you keep those students engaged when you're not physically in the classroom. Tammy, you have... That's one of those behind-the-scene things we hope we can share a little bit on. You know, we're constantly working with departments on our main campus to both identify courses and programs that we can offer globally. Each department is different to work with, and you know, how do we interconnect with them? Yeah, we can hopefully spend some time talking about that. So thank you for that great question. Great, Todd. Great idea. And thank you, Tammy, too, for that idea. Other things. I'm going to use the good old 3-second rule that a good friend of ours has taught us a while back. Of always leaving things open for you. The basis of a lot of the thoughts today, and again where we're going next season. Jeremy shared a blog post with Stephanie and I a week or so ago, and the blog post was called "The Digital Revolution in Higher Ed Has Already Happened, and No One Noticed." And it's so true. We've been at this since the 1990s. 1998, I think, was our first online course, or that more where we first went into the foray of online or different formats. Ooh. Thank you, Tammy. I like that idea. And so, you know, this is kind of, you know, we're going into that next step here in education, looking at hybrids. I would be glad to share a link to this blog that Jeremy shared. It was very interesting, and while it was primarily online education, online courses, it does look at, you know, why has it become this way? And it's, you know, as we talked in the very first week, because the students have changed and society has changed in how students want to get their education. My favorite part of this blog, it said, "We already know what the college of the future will look like because the non-traditional students are creating it now. It's a hybrid of online and in-person classes centered on the student and not the institution. with credits accruing from multiple schools and adding up to a degree and alternating periods of attendance and absence. And as we all know, and what we do on a daily basis, you know, where we started in Global Campus has been more of a non-traditional learner, providing them access that they didn't necessarily have, and really bringing it around to where we are today and where we are going in the future. And so I really enjoyed this article, and we'll definitely share that link. A couple other things have come in on the chat while I've been yapping away here. I love Tammy's idea. As I said, we'll look into that. Tammy, even instructors never annoy me. There may be some challenges, but they're never annoying. But I appreciate that, and I like where you're going with this as far as you know, what can instructors do or do better. You know, maybe there's simple things that they don't necessarily think about in assisting their students that we can help provide them with those ideas. Us too, Todd, and hopefully we can expand our listenership in the future. I do know for a fact we kind of have a guest here today, thanks to Jeremy, connection Jeremy made, and we appreciate Dan being with us today. And we hope to expand it. You know, it's always hard to determine the best time to do one of these sessions. You know, we tend to do it over the lunch hour, hoping that, you know, folks have the time, you know, in their busy schedules to make it happen. But again, that's the other reason that we do record the sections and have made them available through the repository. So hopefully folks are out there listening to them and gaining that nugget of information we hope will be helpful. Yeah, we don't eat lunch. Usually we go out after, some days not. It all depends. Dan, we're so glad that you could join us. Again, I'm going to cut today's session a little bit short today. Usually we go right up until 12:45, but since I'm here by myself, talking to myself, I do appreciate everybody's attendance again today and throughout the season. We haven't set a definitive start date. It will be sometime in January of 2016. We'll definitely be sharing the information with everyone, as well as hopefully gaining some more participants in the new season. I'm sorry, because Jeremy's not here, Dan, punch and pie is probably out of the question, but I'll make sure he gets with you and carries through on his promise. He's usually pretty good about that. So again, thank you everyone for joining us this season. We hope you've enjoyed it. We certainly have, and we look forward to next season. Thanks again, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.